What's up, friends? Hope everybody's doing super well. It's Monday, new day for our live streams, June 6th. And I'm excited to be back. Of course, I had some difficulty with getting the stream going after all this time. I don't know why it gave me such a hard time, but I still don't have Instagram up, but that's okay. I'll work on getting that going as we are starting our stream here today. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. I wonder if this is going to be a good time for others, but it's a good time to. It's always a good time to get back into the flow here. So it's Monday. It's June 6th next week. I'm excited because we're going to kick off our jazz trombone boot camp next week, and that's going to be a lot of fun. If you are someone who might still want to come, drop me a DM or something. We might be able to squeeze you in, but. Officially, it's closed, but the great folks at Marcinkiewicz Mouthpieces have graciously donated a scholarship for a full tuition scholarship for somebody to attend the Jazz Trombone Boot Camp. So really excited about that. So if you wanted to, you can go on my Instagram bio. There's a link there on Facebook. There's all kinds of places. What's happening? Thanks for dropping by. I don't know why it's coming up as unknown user, but hello. Thanks for coming through. I don't know what's going on with my Instagram here. It's not wanting to allow me to go live here today. But hope everybody's doing so well. As usual, this is like our weekly Q&A. Well, I guess it's been a month. Last week I got COVID, so I wasn't able to get started on these live streams, but just made for a very, very exciting, busy week of trying to just recover. But we're glad to be back. I can tell you that much. But as always, just feel free to drop your questions into the chat here, and they come up for me on the screen, and I'll bring them up, and we'll just chat about whatever you guys are thinking about. But the big news is July 19th at Dizzy's Club in New York City. I am super excited about this gig coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun getting to premiere brand new music. So the brand new music is from this new Chamber Music America piece that I've been working on since last summer, and it's for my sextet with Lucas Pino, Alex Wintz, Glenn Zaleski, Jimmy McBride, Alex Wintz, that's not him already, Dave Barron, and so that's going to be a lot of fun to finally get to play that and get for a live audience. It's going to be super great. So yeah, I can't wait for that. On July 19th at Dizzy's Club in New York. Oh, and I see we're, of course, having some other issue here. Man, I'm just really striking out with technology today. There it goes. Now it's back. Such is life when you take a break from the live streaming and you come back, all the technology doesn't want to work for you anymore. Like my iPad here. And I think the stream is getting all glitchy. It's really just struggling here today. Yeah, Instagram is just straight up no option to go live anymore. That's so weird. So weird. Anyway, so feel free to drop in any questions and things you guys want to talk about this week. I'd be happy to talk about them or whatever you're thinking about. I do have some questions from several weeks ago, I do believe. Let me see if I can pull those up, and we'll start there and take it from there. But I hope if you're in New York July 19th that you'll be able to swing by Dizzy's and join us. It's going to be a good time, I promise. I promise. Let's see here. Back in June. Questions. I know I saved them somewhere. Maybe I didn't. Or they didn't back up. I guess. Yep, doing fine. Thanks. Hanging in there. But I'm getting ready for the Jazz Trombone Boot Camp next week. I'm starting to put together a brand new warm-up routine or new kind of warm-up kind of workout, which I'm excited about. I'll show you. A couple pages long at this point, but trying to work out some new things to kind of go for more of like the way I've been thinking about it is like kind of like more of a growth mindset warm up, meaning in a phase where we're really trying to grow, in a phase where we're really trying to build some skills or build technique, build capacity, so I've been really trying to focus on that and focus on different types of exercises that are going to push me in the different realms of trombone playing. So that means for me, that's like flexibility, but not like just like lip slurs. Flexibility meaning like being able to play whatever it is I need to be able to play. So that could be like all different things: articulations, smooth, fast, slow, slide technique, all different sorts of things. And so I try to think about flexibility in that kind of holistic way. And then articulation, of course, and sound. So thinking about all those things and building kind of like I was trying to think of it like a HIIT workout, like a HIIT workout for trombone growth, or my own personal growth anyway. So working on that, hope to have a draft of that by the time we get to ITF. And so ITF obviously is in July in Arkansas and be hanging out there. So hopefully I'll see some of you at ITF. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm not really sure why my Instagram app is just totally not letting me go live anymore. It's very strange. But that's all right. We're here and we're talking. So it's so strange. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to getting back to doing these live streams. We're going to do it every Monday now for this month, and we'll see kind of where the summer schedule leads us. It'll probably be a little bit flexible over the course of the summer, not necessarily anything too regular. Got a bunch of different things, bunch of traveling to do, obviously, for the stuff in July and in August, some jazz camps and all that kind of stuff. So my regular Tuesday time just won't probably cut it this time around. So feel free, drop in some questions into the chat here, and we'll get going with the Q&A. Let's see. Yeah, it's just not here. Where is the live thing? So weird. Don't take any time off, because as soon as you take time off, this is why it's not like what. I don't know what happened. Anyway, well, okay, so there's no question. So I guess I'm going to, let's see, I think this microphone is also plugged in here. So I'm going to do some playing maybe and see if anyone logs on and wants to ask any questions. But I haven't played any notes yet today. It's my time to get going with kind of playing some music as well. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about in terms of this this warm up here. So instead of just playing some boring old long tones, which there's nothing wrong with them, I've been thinking about incorporating some of the Caruso type exercises, and so that means like putting the horn on your face and then breathing through your nose to try to keep the setting here, you know. So we'll see how loud this is. So what I'm trying to do here is to organize the things, the notes, the long tones by interval rather than organizing them by just going through down the positions. I know the normal way, quote unquote, is to do it by positions, right? And so something that I've been thinking about is just trying to break away from that quote unquote normal way of doing things, and then keeping it fresh. And I need to get some slide stuff because my slide is all crusty. So, and if you notice, I was breathing through my nose, which is something I don't recommend doing, kind of like on the regular. I don't think you can really get enough air that way, generally speaking. But if you take a slow breath, like I saw me doing, and then go to the next, it's a good way to keep the setting. So when I say keep the setting, I mean making sure that your embouchure is staying in the same place. Why do that? Well, because that's helping you strengthen the muscles here. Because every time you move, it's just slightly different muscles, right? It's slightly different, and it's slightly resetting. So if you want to build or continue to build endurance and strength, you want to try to keep it kind of locked into one place. This is kind of building off the Caruso type exercises. I'm not like a super, I don't go super deep into it, but that's like kind of the surface level, and it's kind of where I start with it. But so now what I'm going to do is take that whole thing and move it up to the next partial. So I go all the way up until like a perfect fifth kind of thing in terms of that, just to get some notes going. And then the next thing I'll do is go to like not go like to, but actually I will go to some kind of pitch bending type of exercise. So in this case, I'm going to go to the one that's out of my Get Ready book. And so that one sounds like this. So at any rate, that's the next thing that I would do. But I'm sure this is really boring, so I'm gonna skip ahead, and play some music here, I guess, and see if anybody has any questions. I guess most of the questions I'm realizing maybe are coming from Instagram, and because Instagram's not working, we have a dearth of questions this week, which is all good, totally cool, and not a big deal. But let's see. I've been working on some stuff for part of the boot camp is we do a concert. And I'm giving a concert at ITF, and I'm giving a concert obviously at Dizzy's in July. And I'm thinking about what I might want to play. So I've been wanting to play this tune. Well, how about that? We could start playing trombone on a bunch of people. Will Wang, what's up, man? Able to catch the first set of Gil Evans Orchestra at Dizzy's Club. Oh, that's all right, man. It would have been nice to see you. Say hello. That's all right. That was a fun gig. Back a couple weeks ago, played at Dizzy's with Ryan Truesdell and the Gil Evans project. That was, what was that? The 17 and 18 of May. It was a lot of fun. Good to hear from you, Will. Why does a part of that tune sound like a TV game show theme? I don't know. Probably all the parallel dominant chords, like. I don't know, something like that. All right. What's up, John? Hope you're good, man. Jeremiah. I honestly struggle with motivation, always getting intimidated with how vast everything can be. I know you commented on this before, but any thoughts? You left that tune. Yeah, 3-1 was the tune. It's just a fun one to play. I really don't like playing in E flat. But alas, it's in E flat. But with motivation, yeah, I mean, this is a frequent thing that comes up, and it comes up with my students a lot at UNT. And I struggle with much of like a really good answer to this question, because I think that relying on motivation in and of itself is a trap. And that's the trap that we got to get out of in the first place. If you're waiting to be motivated to do something, you're never going to actually do it. Because more times than not, your motivation runs out at a certain point, whether it's 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 months. It runs out. And then you're like, well, then what are you left with? And so to me, what you're left with is your practice, right? And I don't mean like, let's practice some amount of time, but like your practice of showing up every day to play your instrument or to get better, or your practice of, exercising or yoga or meditation or whatever. It's something that's part of your identity that you do on a daily basis. It's your practice. It's what you do. And so for me, it's more important to focus on that practice than it is to quote unquote be motivated, because you're never going to know everything, right? And you can only just worry about trying to be the best at what you are trying to do, and nobody's the best at everything, can't out JJ Johnson, just can't do it, and so you have to figure out where you and your music kind of lie on the spectrum of everything, and just try to be the best version of yourself that you can, and just show up and make the music that you want to make and all that sort of stuff. But honestly, the first problem with what you have said is thinking that motivation has any relevancy to the journey, because it's not. motivation has nothing to do with it. You've decided that you're going to do it or not. And so you just do it, like I've decided I'm going to practice today and I just do it. I don't have to be motivated to do it because I decided, however long ago that I'm going to do it. And if I'm just like, oh, do I feel like it? No, of course. I probably would feel like 10 other things besides, practicing or whatever the thing is that you want to be doing, but it's important to just put all that to the side and just show up for yourself, show up for yourself and just do things, do stuff. I think that's kind of where it's at. You have to just kind of make it happen, Okay, here's a question from Brian. How much transcribing would you say you've done in straight ahead versus other styles? What about how much you've transcribed from the 50s, 60s versus other eras? Yeah, I mean, 50s and 60s is probably the most. And it's also the most specific language, like playing bebop is the most specific. Everything else gets a lot more personalized from there, right? Into the hard bop area. I mean, it's still pretty specific, but then we get into this modal land and all of that stuff, and then it gets more and more personalized until you get somebody like, Elliot Mason today, or whoever, Ryan Caberly, Marshall, Michael Deese, all these people are coming out of that foundation. So most of the transcription work that I would do is that foundational work, and then I would try to transcribe things that interest you. So for me, that's like Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, Pat Metheny, Michael Brecker, Joshua Redmond. That's like what I was listening to in high school, college. And so that's kind of going towards those things that you want and kind of mixing all that stuff together, like you're mixing together the vocabulary of what you've transcribed and what you've listened to, and stuff that's trombone-centric and not trombone-centric. It doesn't really matter. It's more important to go deep, I think, rather than wide. So if you can transcribe 5 or 10 solos by one person, you're going to get a lot more out of it than if you do like a whole bunch of different people. You're just kind of like surface level. So something that we do with my students is pick somebody, and go deep, do a whole record and or more. So most of what I've transcribed is straight ahead because that's like the most specific music, I guess. And it's where my music is coming out of, So, I mean, I've learned plenty of stuff from Fred Wesley, Fred Wesley and fusion stuff and free stuff. Have I transcribed any free stuff? Probably not, but listen to it. And at a certain point, you get somewhere where like you can sort of transcribe stuff by ear and you don't have to sit down and like write it down and kind of figure out a few things out, or maybe you just grab one phrase or something and you don't have to sit there and transcribe every single note and nuance in the same way that you did at the beginning, because at the beginning you're trying to get to that level of deepness of understanding. And so once you've done it a bunch of times, you start to hear more things at once. So it goes faster, So the more things you transcribe, the easier it gets to transcribe and the faster it is and all of that sort of thing. So hope that helps, Brian. I don't know why that second phrase of this tune always catches me off guard. This one. I don't know why, but John has a question. So he's working on JJ's Laura. It's great. And I wonder what your slide approach to the double time section, especially E's in fifth position. I know that the last time I was working on that solo, I wasn't thinking about E's in fifth position all that much. So I think, I know that we've talked a lot about alternate positions. And it's really a matter of kind of getting the slide moving in a flowing motion, So you can definitely overdo it with the alternates. I'm trying to yeah, I don't know how much. I would just experiment. I can't say off the top of my head that there's been a flurry of fifth position E's in my awareness of that particular solo. Let me see. It's like. It's way further in the solo though. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it, but I love that tune. Some JJ nonsense. Which improvisers do you think you can do impression of, both trombonists and non-trombonists? Oh, I don't know. I don't usually do impressions, but I do have my students work to be able to do JJ and Curtis, and then maybe one of their favorites. There's like little kind of like isms, little different things you can do. But, sometimes it comes across as crass when you do something like that. But who's really great at doing it is Michael Dees is really great at doing those. I've seen him do it in person, playing in a whole bunch of different styles, not just those two. But I would say that if I could do any impressions, it's probably just a little phrase or something of somebody, But generally, I definitely focus on my students on JJ and Curtis. Because there's certain things that they do, like, JJ plays with that clear tone. To Curtis, it's more like bouncy, like he's got those different kind of vibes that he does, I can't, and there's probably no non-trombonists. Doug Elliott told me that someone named John Moak, who could apparently do impression of all the trombone greats, J.J. Curtis Slide. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's something I aspire to be able to do better. Be able to do that. We do it on a blues in a class that I teach, trying to do it on a blues over was it just a B flat blues, and kind of compare different language that JJ would play or Curtis would play, and be able to do like a, some kind of approximation of like what are the things that make Curtis and JJ. Yes, hi Taylor. Yes, we're back, but the Instagram wasn't working today, so we're just here on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. If you're on any of those places. Brian says, how do you teach students who are into Fontana Rosalino watches? No differently than I would teach any other student. It doesn't matter who they're into. I make them do all the same sort of things, which is dive deep into a player, expand their technique, expand their musical vision, be able to play tunes in 12 keys, be able to execute anything that's put in front of them. I'm going to make them transcribe JJ Slide and Curtis, in addition to the things that they want to do, because everyone has their own mix, and there's nothing wrong with any of those people. They have a lot of things that someone like Curtis or JJ might not have in terms of, super facile upper register, fast playing and stuff up there. So yeah, there's all different kinds of things to learn from all different people. What was the last standard you learned? I just was relearning this one. Yeah, UMMG. You got it. Yeah, I was listening to last night the bunch of versions, and I was listening to the Joe Henderson version again, and I realized, I'm like, man, that sounds like Wynton on trumpet, because I didn't realize that Wynton was on that record. It was Wynton, obviously, but I was like, man, sometimes I'm really dumb. Thoughts on the passing and music of Gratian Moncur? Yeah, he's definitely underappreciated. That's for sure. He doesn't make it into those same conversations with J.J. Curtis and Slide often, which is too bad. He took a different path and played with a different scene. And, history decided one set of people was going to be talked about more than another. And it doesn't discount, his playing or his, he's got such a unique way of playing. He's a really great improviser and a great stylist and he has such a vibe, and paved the path for a lot of players, to play in more avant-garde and free settings as well as straight ahead. He did it all, man. And then he kind of just fell off the scene, and just didn't get celebrated as much as other people did, which is too bad. It's like, is there really only room for a few people, or is there room for everybody? I guess that's the answer, is that there isn't room for everybody on the short list, which is really kind of sad. But I wish I had spent more time with his music. I will admit that he's not someone who I've transcribed that much of, but definitely I'm aware of his contributions, especially in the period with Herbie and the Headhunters, and then the Mwandishi, not Headhunters, but post-Headhunters and Mwandishi and all that stuff. And just that more like playing like a spirit, or playing a vibe, or playing like a feeling, Didn't always have to do with like, learn this vocabulary or learn that vocabulary, play this 2/5, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is important, but it's only one part of a bigger question, or a bigger approach, What's a solo you've been wanting to transcribe? What's up, Andre? What's a solo you've been wanting to transcribe but you haven't gotten to it? Oh, there's lots of those. I started transcribing that Wynton solo on UMMG last night. So there's one. Gratian Moncur. There's another. Anything of his. It's been a minute since I've really transcribed anything other than relearning a bunch of solos that I use in my teaching a lot. But yeah, this year, this period, this time is going to be one of doing those sorts of things, trying to get back to those sort of things, that practice of getting better. I've been kind of in like a sustaining, at the beginning of our stream today, I was talking a little bit about some trombone warm-up things that I've been thinking about and talking about being in a growth mindset, having like a kind of a workout, not so much like a warm-up, but also like a workout that's like really pushing past the normal stuff, the usual stuff. The usual long tones and everything. And so trying to get into that growth mindset of like, I'm pushing myself. I'm not just sitting here and playing the same long tones over and over again. I'm trying to get better, So anyway, I'm in one of those periods, so I'm trying to push myself. But so yeah, obviously. Oh, you know what else I transcribed half of was last year, or I guess a year and a half ago. I put out an arrangement with Reggie Chapman of "Sing a Song of Songs," that Kenny Garrett solo. And so I transcribed about like 3/4 of the Kenny Garrett solo on that. That was probably the last thing I was transcribing. So what are the benefits of practicing and working up a transcription versus just learning language? Well, they're related things. Working up a transcription is like working up a jazz etude, right? So it's an etude. You're learning the whole thing. It's transcription. You're also learning it by ear, so you're not learning it by sight, but by ear. And it's improving your memory. It's improving your deepness of listening. Whereas just learning language is you're just learning how to manipulate harmony, or you're trying to play something through 12 keys, or you're trying to get something into your muscle memory. They're kind of different skill sets. You have to do both. Do you think that there's a disconnect between jazz/classical lovers and the rest of the music world, contemporary pop music, etc.? I feel that jazz and classical is so concentrated that they only attract a small audience. Well, even jazz versus classical, like jazz and classical are not the same audience, The disconnect comes, I think, from an attention span thing. Do you have the patience for the attention span and enjoying the process rather than the result? We're in a give it to me now kind of moment, and in culture, widely speaking, and not like, and with jazz, like it's the process of like that improvisation and how that band is playing together over 3 to 5 minutes. Same thing with a classical piece. It's developed over time, right? And so the end of the piece doesn't pay off unless you hear the beginning. If you just drop the needle at the end with no context for the beginning, it doesn't come off with the same depth, or the same impact that it might. And so I think the disconnect comes from that lack of attention. And so then it's like, okay, do I try to convince a whole bunch of people that don't want to be convinced to pay attention for longer than 15 seconds? I don't know if you can do it. Maybe you can. But yeah, the jazz and classical audience is small because there's a small amount of people that want to invest their attention into something like that and enjoy the problem. But once they have done it, I feel like it does hook a lot of people when they go and experience it live in person. But a lot of people don't have the opportunity to really hear and feel that creativity in a direct way in a small room, and feel the vibrations and feel the connection and feel that kinesthetic thing that happens when jazz musicians are playing together on a high level, because there's not enough venues and there's not enough access to those venues, because because everything is related, right? But like, it's so expensive to go to a jazz club, which isolates a lot of people from being able to go and hang out and learn the music. Or like, it's a 21 and over place, or, and then you just learn in school and it becomes this whole thing. We get this whole dichotomy between the institution and the street, I guess, is it street music? Is it classical music? Is it, it's like, well, it's all of those things. But I don't know that we can control what the general oeuvre, Yeah, and so jazz and classical doesn't have a slick music videos where people listen with their eyes. Yeah, And then when I see some of people that I know that start to release music videos like that, what they're then releasing to me is not jazz. And because to me, jazz isn't necessarily like one particular style per se, but it's the approach, and it's the idea of improvisation at the center to me, and that it's like that it is a how. It's a deconstructing and reconstructing in the moment. That's what, to me, that's what jazz is. Or it's that creative. So if it's just like, oh, here's my slick arrangement and blah, 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 that's not really the ethos of jazz to me. And, you know, I'm just one person and a very opinionated person, you know. I decided to be a professor because I think it's important. But obviously that's not the general consensus, you know. Not too long ago, Taylor Swift was #1 on a bunch of charts with a 10-minute song. I think most people also want to hear songs from beginning to end for 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about that Taylor Swift song. And I don't know. And I think everybody's different. And I'm not saying there's only one answer to that question, and that the length is the only thing, you know. But I mean, people will dance at a party to like an extended version of a tune. What's up, Carol? Thanks for dropping by. We'll dance to an extended version of a jam version of a tune. But like when people are listening, I don't know. I don't think they have the attention span in general. They want to hear just like snippets of things, and it's playlist culture. It's so many things. But people just, you know, the sound of jazz is not in the air as much. Classical too, you know. You don't hear it unless you seek it out. It's not just like readily available for you as a young person, which doesn't mean that people aren't going to like it, because I do think people would like it, and I do think they would like it more if they were exposed to it more at a younger age and heard what instruments sounded like and experienced what it feels like to feel a band playing together. But we just don't, you know. Let's see. What's a fundamental that you always remind students to do that they think gets old super quickly? Long tones. Play long tones until the room lights up. When working on a cast of characters, which piece was enjoyable to write and which one felt more challenging to write/finish? That's a good question. That first tune started easy and was really difficult to finish. So that's what the first tune on there is. Sorcerer. Sorcerer is a myth. Like it kind of was the impetus. The opening was the whole impetus for the whole piece, but getting that one finished was a real struggle. One that was enjoyable to write was I always like writing ballads and trying to find new ways to create that ballad thing without just like writing a tune and playing solo head. So that tune Venus, that I liked writing that one. Jeremiah, I agree. I feel like the general public's more interested in jazz and classical sounds rather than holistic presentation of those sounds. Yeah, you know, it's like something you learn about and then you forget or something, rather than being part of the culture. You know, it's not currently. It should be, I think, in my opinion. You know, it should be part of the culture. The jazz music. I mean, it's America's music. Come on. But I mean, people have been trying. You know. But it's just, it's not in the air. And even like acoustic instruments is not in the air. Like, you know, that's something I've been thinking about as a record label owner, you know, thinking about people releasing music and thinking about the music that I make is mostly acoustic. But when you go through like Spotify, like State of Jazz or like new jazz stuff, like most of it is electronic. It doesn't even have acoustic instruments. So like you're fighting so many battles, you know, playing jazz music. It's acoustic. It's not overly loud and compressed. It wants to have dynamics. It wants to take a long time to unfold. It wants to be compositional rather than riff-based. It wants to be, you know, it's not verse, chorus, 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 chorus. It's not, you know, it's like, it's not repetitive, you know. I read something somewhere a while ago that, you know, some of it has to do with like linguistics and the fact that like the English language, for example, doesn't have as much like tonal quality to it as like Chinese or Japanese does. And so like, I mean, I don't think it's true quite as much as it was maybe a generation ago, but there was a lot a fascination with jazz in the Japanese culture, and something I read was talking about how like just the way that you understand language when you come up with those tonal languages as your first language rather than like English, it just like changes the way you hear things. And I'm like, and it's just like, that's really interesting to me. I don't know how exactly all that, happens. I'm no linguist, that's for sure. But it's interesting, I think, and just like how one absorbs and learns a language, and such. But I don't tend to just like hope around for these things. I just kind of try to move forward. And it's all good. We're gonna make what we create and try to connect with as many people as we can and share what we're up to and talk about why it's important. But we can't. At least I don't think just complain all the time. Oh, people should pay more attention. I wish they paid more attention. Well, yeah, it would be nice, but you just have to make a ruckus and get people to pay attention. And how do you get them into your circle? How do you get them to enjoy what you're enjoying, and why what you're doing as an instrumental musician, acoustic jazz music musician is worth listening to, when they can't look at it with their eyes, like John was saying, and see a slick music video? Or do you want to try to find a way to present your music in a way that is slick, or slicker, that can visually, that can kind of help people come over and check out what you're up to? I think it's all the things, and it's no shade on anyone who's trying to find an audience. Everybody wants to make music and get paid for it and live their life, so I respect all of those people doing that. But all right, I'm gonna wrap it up for today, but we'll be back next Monday after the end of our camp, Jazz Trombone Boot Camp. We'll be back for our next June Q&A. So we'll see you next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, for all of June. And if you're in New York, July 19th, I hope to see you at Dizzy's. And July 21st, I'll be in Boston at Virtuosity Music with the band as well, doing that same music that we're going to play at Dizzy's. So if you're in Boston, we'll also be in Boston not too long after, the 21st of July. So more on that soon. But thanks for hanging today. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.